true chocolate capital of the world. I'm not talking of Switzerland, I'm not talking of the other countries. In fact, we are speaking about Belgium and we are going to be talking about Brussels, which is indeed the chocolate capital of the world.
The only problem that people sometimes face when they are talking about Belgium and chocolate is to make a choice. Which one do we take?
What are some of the must-see things that you should do in Brussels?
The most appealing part is the historic center.
I think for me, the city is like this big giant comic book, because wherever you go, you see comics and you see murals and the walls covered with comics.
I get the impression, dream of being in Paris while they are still in Brussels. They're saying, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be in Paris. Also, don't forget, we are in between those well-known names of Amsterdam and Paris and London, but the best part of a sandwich is always in the middle.
Well said. Hello and welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. I'm Sunila, your host, and today we are going to be diving into a city, and you can Google this if you don't believe me, is the true chocolate capital of the world. I'm not talking of Switzerland, I'm not talking of the other countries. In fact, we are speaking about Belgium and we are going to be talking about Brussels, which is indeed the chocolate capital of the world. And to discover why it is so and many more fun facts about Belgium, and to speak more about Brussels, we have a very special guest today who is also a very dear friend. Please welcome Pieter Callebaut, who looks after and is in charge of international business development for Brussels. Pieter, welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Sunila. It's very good to be here. I'm very happy and I feel very excited to be here. I already feel like a rock star, I must say. The way
You
I've
are
been...
a rock star, Pieter.
Well, I hope so. But I've never felt so welcomed as I always have been in India here and here with you.
Pieter, we've had so much fun always discussing about Brussels, right?
True.
And I thought this would be a great platform to share the same things with, all our viewers and listeners, because many a times people do visit Europe, but they do multi-countries, and Belgium
Correct.
and Brussels becomes one part of it. But the more I look at it and the more I speak with you and discover the things to do, I think you need at least 2 to 3 days in the city itself. And I think we're all moving away from, wanting to just touch the city, tick it off and move ahead, but to really stay there, experience and have so much fun. Like, for example, in Brussels, you could be sitting down with one of the, 1800 types of beer,
Absolutely.
munching on some fabulous fries with lots of dipping sauces, and top it all off with the best chocolate in the world. But since we are on the topic of chocolate,
Yes.
and I noticed this when I was in the Grand Place in Brussels, and when I visited, I used to be a tour manager. We did not have Instagram at that point.
Okay.
But I had read and heard about things, and one of the things I really wanted to do was to have a strawberry dipped in chocolate in the Grand Place. And then I found Godiva, they had their store there. And I think for me, that memory of Brussels is probably the best. But the Swiss are known for their chocolate. And I did a little reading and said that the Swiss are actually the biggest consumers of chocolate. The per capita consumption of chocolate is highest in Switzerland. But Belgium actually makes more chocolate, and Brussels airport sells the, largest amount of chocolate anywhere in the world. So is that true?
It is true. And if I may rectify just one thing, just to make it very clear for everybody, is that we love the Swiss, but their chocolate is not Belgian chocolate, okay? We can safely say that they have mountains, something which Belgium doesn't have. So we'll give them the mountains to the Swiss, but the Belgians really are the ones who are known for the chocolate. The chocolate process also that we have in Belgium is very particular. So that makes the chocolate also very, very unique in the world. And as you rightly say it, there's no escaping chocolate when you go inside the city center. Already when you arrive at the airport, which is the biggest, indeed, as you put it, the biggest chocolate consumer in the world, But even arriving there, you have the chocolate. Even when you go inside the city center, there's no escaping all the brands that everybody knows, like Leonidas, Neuhaus, which are world-renowned brands, have their own establishment, of course, there. So the only problem that people sometimes face when they are talking about Belgium and chocolate is to make a choice. Which one do we take?
Right.
Which one are we going to take home? I always tell people, just wait a second before you start shopping like mad. Right? Try to taste a bit of every chocolate that every chocolatier has, and then make a decision and then take some home for the family or for friends or whatever. But don't indulge immediately on the chocolate, although...
Yeah, there are so many varieties. It's mind-boggling. I think go on an empty stomach to the chocolate shops because, just those little nibbles and tasting, and that gets you going with all the chocolate in the world. But, Peter, usually in Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life, we end with the food, but we've started off with chocolate. And I think let's just continue that.
Of course.
So, the next best thing probably in Belgium and Brussels is the fries.
Yeah.
But I also know that they were made in Belgium. They were invented in Belgium. But they are called French fries. So the Swiss took your chocolate and the French took your fries. Let's talk about this.
Well, first of all, the Swiss didn't take anything because we had it all along. Right. So let's be very clear. But when it comes to the fries, it's a historic mistake, if you will. First of all, French don't even like fries. They like mashed potatoes, puree. They are much more sophisticated, that's what they think, than Belgians. Right? So basically, you will not find any good fries in France. Yeah. And they will be shocked when you ask for fries in France. Belgian fries are called French fries sometimes, mistakenly, because of something which happened during the war times. Okay. During the war times, you had a lot of soldiers, American soldiers, based in Belgium. Right? And what happened is that at the time, everybody spoke French in Belgium. And when these soldiers returned home, what happened is that they talked about the food they had. And one of the foods they had were these baked potatoes, fries. But they called them French fries because of the fact that people spoke French. They did not know Belgium. They thought it was some sort of Belgium, France, something like that. So that's where it comes from. But I correct, each time I come to India or wherever I come to promote Belgium, I always tell people, please people, it's Belgian fries, without any doubt. And they are very unique because we bake them in a very special way. Of course, I understand that for the listeners, it's important to have some secrets and everything, but this is a secret we cannot share with the world because we want people to taste it there.
Come there and taste it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but is there a way to enjoy it? Like, is there the best way that you can have fries? Because, usually most Indians love fries. Wherever we go in the world, a lot of times, especially vegetarians, along with the salads and other things, they crave for something that's hot and tasty and, which tingles their taste buds, and fries fit in perfectly. So is there a way to enjoy the fries? Because I know they're sold to you in like a little pocket or something, right?
True. So we have the famous chip shops, as they are called, or fries shops, Belgian fries shops, which is a unique concept because there are some in Holland as well, but again, this is not the same thing exactly. We have those famous fries shops where every household family in Belgium goes to every weekend. Okay. It's a tradition, basically, to start off the weekend well. So what happens is they go there, they just take as much fresh fries as they can. They share with family because it's also a family sharing moment, if you will. It's not only about the fries itself, it's also about sharing because fries are easy to share with everybody. We take a lot of sauces. Most popular sauce in Belgium to take with fries is mayonnaise. I know that most people, when I go abroad, prefer ketchup, but we don't. We are really much into this mayonnaise. The classic way of eating fries is a pinch of salt on the fries, so fresh fries baked. They should be baked twice, by the way, twice, to bake them correctly. And then put some salt on it, put some mayonnaise on it, and you don't need more. Some people opt to take some sort of extra meat with the fries, but you don't even need it, honestly.
My mouth's watering already, Peter. I mean, it sounds so amazing.
So is
and
mine. Shall we go?
Yeah, let's go to Brussels. The next time I meet you there, we're going to the chip shop and having those fries for sure. Peter, since we're on the topic of food, I remember you telling me that the best breakfast and something that kids love, absolutely love, is also actually Belgian. And I'm talking of waffles and along with waffles, strawberries. So that is also Belgian, isn't it?
The waffles are a Belgian creation. Although I must say that Belgians don't eat so many waffles as you might think. It is something that Americans tend to use for breakfast as well, or eat as breakfast. We would never do that. It's a bit of a dessert, or it's something for a festive occasion, like a family occasion or something. Then we might take a waffle. But again, the way we eat waffles might be sometimes different than people might think, because when you walk around in Brussels, you will see beside the chocolate and the fries, you will see a lot of waffles in lots of colors. People tend to put icing sugar, whipped cream, mint sauce, strawberries, chocolate sauce, all together on a waffle. And I think that's nice because it looks very colorful, and I like people when they just enjoy, basically. But the way Belgians eat it is just the plain waffle and some icing sugar, nothing more. But again, we don't eat it a lot.
Okay. You know, now I think you've already convinced people to come to Brussels just for a food tour, starting with waffles, with fries, with chocolate and beer, right? You take it all down with beer. And how many varieties of beer can you find in Belgium?
There's 1,800 different types. I would advise you not to taste them all at once.
Definitely not.
There are some stronger beers as well. So they're called the Trappist beers. They are a bit more heavy than you would find the normal beers. But beer in Belgium, since it's a UNESCO heritage as well, is something you savor, you enjoy. Sometimes, again, to make a comparison, sometimes people compare us to Germany or Czech Republic for beer. The only thing I can say is that Belgians enjoy their beer, and the importance of beer is there because we pull beer in a different glass each time. So each beer has its own glass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no, even when you're with friends or family, they expect you to serve the beer in the right glass because that's how much appreciation we have for beer.
Peter, moving on, you know, we've ensured that people have a great time eating in Brussels.
Yep.
But when you're coming there and you're staying, what are some of the must-see things that you should do in Brussels?
Well, we'll go first of a classic tour of Brussels. I think the most appealing part is the historic center.
Right.
The historic center of the city is also the touristic center of the city. The city itself, by the way, is walking distance. Everything is walking distance. So that's also the most agreeable thing about the city is that you don't need anything to move you around. You don't need a taxi to take you to see a certain thing. You don't need to use public transport if you're not used to it or you don't know how to use it very well. You can just walk around. And then the first place we would start is the historic center and, of course, the Grand Place, which again is UNESCO heritage and is considered rightfully as the most beautiful square in Europe. With all the gilded houses, with all the beautiful decorations, the beautiful statues that there are. It's just a magic moment to savor a beer or to have a chocolate while you're enjoying these beautiful buildings surrounding you. People just can stay there for a couple of hours. And I would tell people, when you do a city break anyway, take your time. Don't rush. Just try to walk, discover. It's the best way to discover a city. And the historic center of Brussels is the place to start, for sure.
And you know, when we talk of Brussels, we have to talk of the little boy who's peeing in the road. And there are thousands of people who have lined up to take selfies with him. And it's amazing. His popularity just grows. He actually has a museum with all his entire wardrobe, right? We're talking of Mannekan Pis. What's the story behind that, Peter? Because I have 2-3 stories that I've heard. But this little statue, and it's not too far from Grand Place. You can actually walk there.
It's also in the historic center, indeed. It's like one of the side streets of the Grand Place. So it's very close by. And he's our most famous inhabitant. We are very proud of him. A lot of people, when they visit it for the first time, are very disappointed. Because it's too small. They say, I was expecting something different, something more. But we are very proud of him. The disadvantage is also that sometimes people want to take a selfie. If you want to take a selfie with Mannekan Pis, it's going to be very difficult. There's always somebody there blocking you. Every tourist wants to take a picture with him. Now, what is the story behind it? There's many legends, first of all. Let's say, in general, it reflects the rebellious character of Belgian people. We are who we are. We're not fancy, like maybe like the French, or we're not posh like the English. We are who we are, and we are very proud of that. It's like we pee, just like everybody else, and we don't have any problem with that. So that's the first thing. Now, there's, of course, a lot of legends behind it. One of them would have been that simple one, is that the city used to have city walls to defend itself, and they wanted to blow up the whole city. And he had to pee, and he extinguished the fire.
Wow.
For which he then...
On the explosives,
For then he was rewarded with a statue as a fountain. The other one is that he was basically... it was a little boy kind of lost in the city. He was kind of lost. And he had to pee. And he peed at the door of a witch. Okay. And the witch opened the door. She was very upset. And she made him pee for the rest of his life.
Turned him into stone.
Yeah. And made him into a stone, indeed, and become then this fountain that he is. There's a lot of legends about it, honestly. But the only thing that I tell people is that it's just a nice character. It's just showing that Belgians are comfortable with who they are and that they're a bit rebellious.
They're fun-loving people, you can see that. They're really fun-loving people. And actually, you dress them up in different costumes. There's the Christmas, at Christmas, the clothes change. There are different things. And there's actually a museum for all his entire wardrobe, right, that you can go and see. So I found that pretty amazing. But not many people know, Peter, that along with Mannekan Pis, he actually has two more companions. And that is a girl, Jeanneke Pis, and a dog, Zinneke Pis. That is simply amazing. And how far are these? Can you actually go and see them?
Yeah, they are very close one to another. So they are very close. The story is a bit different in a sense that Jeanneke Pis, which we will call his sister, his little sister, the statue is sometimes forgotten by a lot of people. Because they think like Mannekan Pis is world famous. Nobody knows about Jeanneke Pis. But she's pretty cute as well, if I may call it like that. She's also peeing, just like the boy is, in a different way.
Gender equality, I guess,
It was basically an invention by the traders in that street where the statue is based to make more appeal for their shops. So they wanted to attract more people to their shops and to the street. So they also invented this statue. And that's why she was there originally. She only dates from the 1980s. Yeah. And then you have indeed the dog, Zinneke Pis. There's another story behind this. There used to be, in the 16th century, Brussels had a lot of problems with rats in the city. There were a lot of rats in the city. So what helps against rats is that people bought dogs to fight the rats. The problem was that once the rats were gone, everybody had a dog and nobody wanted the dog anymore. So the place was full of dogs now, not of rats, but dogs were there. And it's a sad story a bit, but a lot of these dogs were left alone, wandering around the city. And a lot of them were drowned as well in the Zinneke River, in the Zenne River. So it's a bit of a sad story, and they made some sort of statue to commemorate still the times, they were heroes at the time, but then also they were treated badly afterwards, unfortunately.
For me, I look at it as gender equality. If you have a boy peeing on the road, why not a girl? So you have Jeanneke Pis, and then you have Zinneke Pis, like the dog, and that kind of completes the family. But Brussels, I find, Peter, is always full of these surprises and these funny things as you walk and you discover the city. And I think for me, the city is like this big, giant comic book, because wherever you go, you see comics and you see murals and the walls covered with comics. And for a die-hard Tintin fan like me, I loved it. I just love going there and just taking a walk. So you're right, you need to just take your time, walk around the city and see it. But what's the obsession with comics, and how do these, fictional characters, Hercule Poirot, Tintin, everybody seems to come from Belgium.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we have a lot of imagination.
Yes.
That helps. And yeah, it is the birthplace, of course, of iconic comic characters like Tintin, that everybody knows, like Lucky Luke as well, like the Smurfs.
Smurfs also, yes.
Smurfs are also Belgian. And yeah, it's a long tradition. And people also, every family has a lot of comic strips in their house as well. So we are raised with comic strips. And because we were like seeing them everywhere, popping up everywhere. And it's really a Belgian thing. And we are very proud of that. And as you indeed put it correctly, we have a lot of murals also celebrating this love we have for comics. On the other hand, it also makes the city more funny. It makes it more colorful, I believe. And every quarter of the city, every city part has its own comic mural.
Does the city put up these murals, or you just have artists who come and like anyone just go and paint it, or
well, it's no. It's coordinated, of course, with the city, because they need to check which walls they can. But now, meanwhile, it's also easy to recognize which area of Brussels you're in, because then you can actually look at the murals and say, okay, now I'm in this part of Brussels with this mural. They also do guided walks of murals in the city. There's a lot of options when it comes to. We also have some statues of Lucky Luke, of the Smurf as well. So yeah, so it's really something we are very proud of, and that is internationally known as well. Indeed. Yeah.
Which one's your favorite, Peter?
It's kind of difficult to say. I was not a big reader of Tintin. I thought at the time it was too difficult for me. I thought it was very he was very adventurous, and I preferred other comic strips. But I was more of a Lucky Luke fan as well. I like the cowboy Indian story and everything, so I was like fascinated with that. But I had also like a wardrobe full of different comics, and you know, it's just fun. It's still fun to read it sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Because I still have my collection, and I think it's a great trip. Like, you know, a lot of times when you're in Europe, especially with little children, and we keep talking of how when you're traveling with kids, you need to find things to entertain them, to keep them engaged. And very often when they're just looking at monuments and they're looking at churches, cathedrals, palaces, forts, and after a point they do get tired. So I think Brussels offers a fantastic place for a family holiday. You have comics on the walls. You could just stand and read a comic strip on the wall itself. You look at Mannekan Pis, you look at, you know, all these funny, quirky statues, a nice walk, good food, fries, waffles, everything that kids love. So I think Brussels is something that children would really enjoy. Is there something else you want to add to a family holiday in Brussels, Peter?
Well, families will definitely be impressed with, for example, going to the Mini Europe and the Atomium, for example. The Atomium is like the Eiffel Tower of Belgium, if you will, but then 10 times more beautiful. It's something that when you look at it, you're
also
always
built for the World Expo, right? Like
it was built for, yeah, indeed, it was built for the World Expo, and it was supposedly only going to stay for 6 months.
Okay.
But then everybody fell in love with it, and everybody thought it was so beautiful and so iconic, so we kept it. Meanwhile, it has changed. It has been renovated and everything. But that's something that definitely people, families alike and individuals as well, will adore. Because when you are there, you feel small and you feel just wowed by this impressive, iconic building. Again, I've been to the Eiffel Tower. I had a Taj Mahal feeling if I want, because Taj Mahal is also something that I adore. I went to visit as well. It's one of those buildings or constructions that you feel wowed by. And from the outside, it looks impressive, but also from the inside, a lot of efforts were made into making it into some sort of futuristic experience. And you can imagine that families, when they're going in there and they have all these lights and sound spectacles and feeling a bit like in space and everything, people love it. Families love it. So, and again, there are 9 spheres in total. So I have the 9 balls, but people call them balls, but they are called spheres, to put it nicely. Yeah. 9 spheres, on which the top sphere is reserved for views and also a panoramic restaurant over the city. So you can basically, after your visit, also enjoy some typical Belgian food. There are some areas where you will find temporary exhibitions and permanent exhibitions. Permanent exhibitions tend to be about the Expo of 58, but then the temporary exhibitions are really futuristic light shows and everything. So people are impressed when they step outside as well. And just off Atomium is, of course, Mini Europe. And I believe that I would be surprised that anybody hearing now about Mini Europe would not know what it is, because I have the impression that Mini Europe is a concept that all Indians have grown familiar with already. It's also thanks to the work of my wonderful colleague who's here with me and who accompanies me always on these trips to India, who's been here for 17 years
Yes,
already.
Philippe has been promoting Mini Europe to India, and I think it's a great point because Brussels is the capital of the European Union. It is
Correct.
home to the European Parliament. So
Yes.
what better place to experience all of Europe in one place other than Mini Europe? Walking by, seeing, I think it almost represents all the countries in Europe, right? Or pretty much everything.
It has the countries that are a member of the European Union.
Right.
And but it's really a park, which is, first of all, it's a park, which means that you have green gardens and everything is very well kept. So it's already very appealing when you step inside.
There are working models, right? Like the ships go around.
And then you have emblematic buildings of every country, to put it like that, and city. You have emblematic buildings, but there's a lot of animations around these buildings, so you can push buttons and then things start to move. So it's a park which is constantly busy and occupied. And what is really nice as well is that the information they give, by the way, you get some sort of brochure when you enter the park. And the brochure, I'm not very much of a fan of brochures because I want to see things. But in this case, they made the brochure so interesting with some funny facts, not too much history, just some funny facts about the buildings. And while you're enjoying them, you can just read it comfortably. Everybody enjoys it. And people, of course, children love to push all these buttons, hear national anthems, see things moving around. And it's really a treat to be there. People sometimes have a different perception of it, thinking like it's going to be something for children. It's not for children. It's for adults alike, for families to just enjoy. It's really something that, it's true. It's the best of Europe in 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Peter, it would be amazing to do all of this. You definitely, I think by now we've established you can't do everything in one day, for sure. You need at least 2-3 days to really experience Brussels and see the best of it. Of course, if you're short of time, then you pick out something that is of your interest and go only there. But so many people do visit Europe and Brussels and Belgium again and again. And for the ones who would probably go the second time round, or someone with a lot of time on their hands, there are some hidden secrets or hidden treasures or things that offbeat experiences which people have not experienced before. I know for one, the catacombs. But would you like to add more to that?
Well, first of all, indeed, as you put it, the first-time visitor should maybe take 2-3 days to really focus on the highlights, if you will. But those people who are more experienced travelers, who have more time on their hands and who will come for the second time around, and we hope that there are many people that will return, of course, after their first visit, they can take advantage of the fact that Brussels is some sort of puzzle. I always compare it to a puzzle. And all the pieces are different, and none of them looks alike. So you might not be able to really pick the puzzle to put it right. But the interesting thing is that all these puzzle pieces have their own character and their own personality. It is a multicultural city, and every nationality seems to have created their own vibe and their own area in Brussels, which makes it, when you walk around the city, again, it's a walking distance city, you can just be in different cities at the same time, if you will. There's an African vibe, for example, that we have. There's an Arab vibe that we have. There's a Southern European vibe that we have. So everybody at the same time, they're visiting a city, but they're also visiting their own city and they're feeling home. And this is what we want to make people feel like. There's something there for everybody.
Definitely given enough reasons to come to Brussels and spend like 2-3 days for sure.
I hope so.
But coming from India, people are probably going to be there for a week or 10 days, Peter. And I think along with Brussels, the rest of Belgium also kind of fits in really nicely into a program. And the location of Brussels is so, amazing that you can go anywhere within 2 hours. You reach different cities, not just in Belgium, but, other European cities as well. So is there something you would like to speak about that?
Sure. Since we have an ideal location, we are the heart of Europe. We're the capital of Europe. We're the heart of Europe. Not only because we have the best hearts in Belgium and we have chocolate hearts, so
I
that's why
agree.
we are also smiling always and happy.
Yes.
But the location, the strategic location that we have, allows you to make really nice itineraries. And I know that people from India, or most people from India, tend to combine Brussels with Amsterdam or and Paris, or Paris. It depends a bit, or London maybe. But what we tell people is that, why don't you discover Belgium and then go to Paris? Because they will miss Belgium once they are in Paris. Sometimes people, I get the impression, dream of being in Paris while they are still in Brussels. They're saying, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be in Paris. But don't do that, because you will really regret it. And also, don't forget, we are in between those well-known names of Amsterdam and Paris and London. But the best part of a sandwich is always in the middle.
Well said.
So
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah.
We are not a destination just as a stopover. We really have offers. And indeed, not only Brussels, you can take a train, because direct trains can take you everywhere in Belgium. And in 30 minutes by direct train, you're in Ghent. Yeah? Ghent is like a medieval city, very romantic. It's a university city, very lively. You're only there in 30 minutes. So if you want a day out, you can be there in 30 minutes. You can have your breakfast. You don't need to worry that you're going to have to do like a big trip to another side of Belgium. No, 30 minutes, you're there. Okay? So that's another option to go there as well. Why don't you go to the beach for a day with the family, for example, enjoy the beach, and then get back to Brussels? And, all these options are there. And then just one more thing is that the south of the country is, again, everything from Brussels is 1 hour away. If you want to go to, for example, a village like Spa, Spa is the word that we use nowadays in hotels and tourism industry, of course. But the word spa comes from Belgium.
Oh, okay.
There's a village called Spa, which is known for thermal waters and treatments. And there it comes from. And it's green, it's lakes, it's water, it's castles. Belgium has most castles, by the way, compared to any other country. So there's a lot of surprises. I could talk for hours like this. But it's a different area. The south of Belgium is a different area, as I told you, where the village of Spa is based. Green, lakes, water. And on the north, you have these historic cities, and everything is just 1 hour away. So the things you can do are immense just in Belgium. If you look at internationally, if you want to still combine it internationally, you can do that with Amsterdam or Paris or London. But why not, for example, combine it with, we have international connections with the Champagne area, for example. So it might be good when you're fed up with all the beer and chocolate to try some champagne. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah? Why not? And try to do with champagne, or go to the Mosel area where they have the famous wines in Germany. They're also very close by. We have direct connections. And now we even have night train connections taking you to Berlin, taking you to Vienna, taking you to Prague. And in the future, there will be many more, because Brussels will become the international network, not only of trains, but also of night trains. So we're constantly trying to boost our destination, make it better, give people more options. But the first option for me would be discover Belgium. You will love it.
Definitely, Peter. Thank you for that. I think all of our Veena World guests and everyone who's listening to the podcast who's planned that trip to Europe will definitely spend more time in Belgium for sure. We've been speaking for more than half an hour, and I'm sure we can go on for hours, but we will have to come to the end of the episode. But there's just so much that you've mentioned. I think forget 2 to 3 days. I think you need a week out there to really see the place and enjoy it and savor it, and not just, rush through the city and miss out all these wonderful sights that you said, like from beaches to the spa area, to food, to the monuments, to squares. There's just so much to experience here that I think the next time I'm coming to Brussels, for sure, I'm going on the off the beaten track and discovering all of that. And I'm sure all our viewers would love to do that too. Before we end, are there any final thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Sunila, because I really enjoyed my time speaking about the city. It's, of course, something that comes naturally, and I hope that everybody feels the love I have for the city and I have for the country as well. I feel very proud to be Belgian. Sometimes, again, we are left out, or people think like, what am I going to do in Belgium? What can we do in Brussels? But I hope this changes a bit, and thank you for this opportunity to really allowing us to expand a bit more. And I hope that people are confident. Don't be scared to come to Brussels. Be excited to come to Brussels. Stay in Brussels and just enjoy everything it has. I mean, it has history, it has food, it has gastronomy, it has just about anything you like. You name it, we've got it. But also in small sizes. Everything is approachable. So just come and see us, and we'll be happy to welcome you.
Thank you, Peter. I think you've given people a million reasons to come to Brussels and stay there and enjoy the city and enjoy the country. So, viewers, this was Brussels with Pieter Callebaut. And thank you once again for tuning in. And do share the episode and do send in your comments and feedback. And we would love to take up the topics that you send us. Keep sending us different ideas and different topics. My email is sunila@veenaworld.com, sunila@veenaworld.com. And Neil's email is neil@veenaworld.com. Keep listening and see you soon next week with another episode. Bye-bye.